It's time for another episode of the Cultural Hall. It is an Articles of News episode, but because of how timing in this great world works, we're going to start with the Temple Ticker, allowing Corey K. Ward, the Pharaoh himself, the ability to have as much time as he would, love to be able to talk about temples of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Lots going on. Not necessarily lots super surprising, at least as far as I know. He'll clue us in on that. Corey K. Ward, the Pharaoh himself, how are you?
Doing great, Richie.
It's fun for me to say now your full title whenever I talk to you. I think that if we ever, hung out in person, I would say, everyone, do you know my friend Corey K. Ward, the Pharaoh himself? I don't think I'd ever be able to just say, hey, Corey, how's it going?
Yeah.
The full title is where we go. Corey, who now as far as I'm concerned, specialist about temples and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, specialist above all specialists, counselors above all counselors, wonderful, marvelous. I probably shouldn't go too much further. You are here to tell us about all things that are happening within the church, and a couple of dedications is where we start, which I think is kind of nice.
Yeah, just coming off 1 week after conference. We had another two a multiple dedication day. If you remember back in September, there was 3 temples dedicated on the same day. So now we have 2 temples that were dedicated on the same day. The first was the McAllen, Texas temple. It was the 183rd temple of the church, and former President Uchdorf, now Elder Uchdorf, was there to dedicate the temple.
Now, McAllen, as I understand it, is basically like the United States side of the border wall, right? It's like that close. McAllen is essentially just this side inside the United States, or is that just what I'm led to believe? It's not nearly that close.
Oh no, it's pretty close. The city, it's right there on the wall. It's part of the Rio Grande Valley, which has a Mexican side and a United States side, and so something important that Elder Uchdorf did while he was there is he actually visited the border wall, which we didn't get any pictures of him walking on the border wall, which is interesting. But he called the border wall a symbol of division. Here's some quotes from, I don't know if these are from the dedication or if these are from just him talking to the reporter, but he said, the wall is a sign of individual problems and challenges, but here at the temple, you're at a place of peace. The spirit and your love for one another have no borders. And he said, in a world of walls, we need to continue to build bridges. I guess he compared the temple to a bridge. And then he said, the spreading of the restored gospel did not stop at the political or social boundaries. It expanded to both sides of the Rio Grande.
Which I think is significant when you also recognize the political leanings, though apostles have no political leanings and they are neutral as far as those things go. I know at least at one point, Elder Uchdorf, a registered Democrat in the state of Utah. So it's interesting to know his sort of political leanings as far as that goes.
And coming at this time when the Biden administration announced that they were building more border wall, and they're getting some flack from some Democrats for that. They say that the money was allocated from the Trump administration and they can't change what it was allocated for. But I think definitely they're trying to take a more moderate stance on the border now that they have to deal with all the stuff coming in.
All the discussion about the border, though, no stakes from the Mexico side are that it's not their temple. It's everyone's temple, but it's as far as assigned, it's all stakes within the United States that are assigned to the McAllen, Texas temple.
Yeah, what's interesting is that in the past, some of these border cities have had basically they've shared the temple. So for a long time in San Diego, people from Tijuana would come. Right now in Ciudad Juarez, there's 3 stakes in El Paso that are assigned to that temple. And so you could have predicted that maybe it would be a similar situation, but I think because of just the unequal, passport requirements, people from the United States can easily get into Mexico if they're not military, if they don't have certain restrictions. They can easily get into Mexico and out the same day, but people from Mexico have to get visas far in advance if they want to visit the United States. And so those stakes on the Mexican side will continue to attend the Monterrey, Mexico temple.
Other temple is the Feather River Temple.
That's right. This is the last time in a little bit we're gonna mention this temple. But Ulisses Soares was there. It's the 184th temple of the church. And you may think, well, why was he there? Did he have a personal connection?
Yeah.
And it's thin, but the church news said that he got a letter from a man who said he was of Portuguese descent, and I guess there's a Portuguese community in the area. And so this is Ulisses Soares said, and he's like, my parents immigrated from Portugal to Brazil. These Portuguese people immigrated to California. So I guess he liked the aspect, but the area is actually very has a lot of cultures that have immigrated to it. Not least of them, they paid tribute to that Sikh family, the Tumber family, for selling their peach orchard many decades ago to build a meeting, for the church to build a meeting house, and then now there's a temple there.
And interesting, you put in your note that there was little opposition to this temple, which maybe we'll get into some opposition to some other temples, but it is unique how, depending on the state, depending on the area, I mean, even here in Utah, there are some areas in the state of Utah where they're like temple, and everyone's like, yeah, we'll help you build it. Where's the lumber? We'll bring it. And other places are like, nah, not there. Not on that street. You got to move it over there.
Yeah, I think they interviewed the mayor, and they said that, oh yeah, the temple is like right across from City Hall. Everyone was super excited that it was going to be there. We just have, lots of faith in this community. We're excited to have another one. So yeah.
Then we moved to Modesto, California. Gary Sabin doing the groundbreaking, took a shovel, said roll tide, and turned some dirt. Is that the same? Different Sabin? Same Sabin? Sabin family?
Yeah, I don't know his family connections, I guess.
It's spelled differently, but the people that thought that I really thought that, I appreciate people that can't read a very exaggerative joke. So thank you, everyone.
Yeah, great. Yeah, he was he's in Journal 3070 that I think is assigned to the area. In his talk, he paid tribute to a man named John Davis, who was a widower who had 3 children. He came to the area back in 1905.
Wow.
I think he's probably considered the first member in the area. And a lot of people there said are probably descendants of him. And then interestingly enough, the mayor spoke at the groundbreaking, which doesn't happen that often, but she happens to be a member of the church. And she said that she pleads for the city and the community to visit the temple grounds because they're peaceful.
Interesting to note that John Davis, the widower who brought the 3 children to Modesto, the newest topic of a T.C. Christensen movie coming up. Doesn't that seem like the story?
More, yeah.
Yeah, that seems like right in line. TC, I know you listen to this occasionally. Think about it. John Davis, I'm not sure what you would call it. There's got to be a clever, clunchy name that gets it into the church, but think about it. John Davis in Modesto. Interesting about the wards there as well.
Yeah, this temple will serve another of stakes that are in between Sacramento and Fresno. I guess something that did happen during the weekend, one of the stakes, they consolidated 2 of their wards. So they went from 7 wards to 5 wards. And so there were some people getting trying to put flack on that. Like there was a quote in the groundbreaking that said the temple is a crowning achievement of the growth in an area. And so I guess they've reached their tip and now they're consolidating. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, people will find an opportunity to do that wherever they can, for sure.
And we know that the church is kind of contracting in California. The membership is on the decline. They're moving out of the state. And President Nelson, in his address to Californians a few years ago, basically said, ask people to stay, and that there would be more temples built in the area. And he's, I think, announced more temples in California than any other president. Probably like
Well, for sure.
4 or 5 new temples in California.
It was interesting to note about this next one when we talk about Hungary, that the leaders of Hungary were in the state of Utah at church headquarters, and then either that same day or the next day or the next couple days, that was when the location was announced.
Yeah, that's right. The president of Hungary, her name's Katalin Novak. She was in Salt Lake City, and she met with the first presidency, at least the counselors, because as we know, President Nelson had that fall. But you may think, oh, the president of Hungary, that's pretty like eminent. But Hungary is one of those countries where the president doesn't have much power. Most of the power is in the hands of the prime minister, and the president is mostly ceremonial. And so that doesn't mean she's not powerful. She's in the discussions of government and everything. But yeah, they said when they announced the site of the Budapest Hungary temple a week later, one of the captions of the photo said that the temple was one of the things discussed while she was here in Salt Lake. So yeah, it's going to be a single-story temple of 18,000 square feet. It's going to have an arrival center and a patron housing facility. Hungary has great architecture. There's plenty of inspiration to come off with. But it's kind of located in a newer housing development that's in northern Buda. If you didn't know, the city of Budapest is basically there's Buda on one side of the river and there's Pest on the other side of the river, and they just call it Budapest.
Really?
It's one city. Yeah, it became one city.
That's awesome. I did not know that.
So the temple will be on the Buda side.
Yeah.
And it's possible that they might take a more modern approach to the look at this temple, because it will just fit in more with the new houses in the area. So it's interesting to see how they'll take this.
The missionary history in Buda, or is it Pest, or is it Budapest, is interesting to me as well. Well, I guess the country of Hungary as a whole.
Yeah, missionaries first came to the country in 1885, so that's quite a long ago. But after World War I, they had to leave, and they didn't come back until almost the fall of all the Soviet countries in 1988. Is
pretty significant. That's a good long chunk of time, especially if you're like a family and a convert and all those things right around World War I time. 60 years, it's several generations of being like, one day they'll come back. I mean, that's
either they immigrated from the country when the church left, or they just stuck around and had to wait, or their children never became members. I don't know. It would be interesting to see if there's any like continuous membership in
there had to have been, doesn't there? Even if it's just a handful.
It's possible, yeah.
So
now there's 5,200 members in Hungary. There's 20 congregations, 1 stake, and 2 districts. And I think the temple will also probably serve people in like Romania and the Balkans and all that area. So
now we get to some quick hits. Temple that affects me, my temple. Yay!
Yeah, you probably know this personally. The Taylorsville and UDOT are planning a new traffic pattern on 4700 South, which is where the temple is. Basically, they are going to remove a traffic signal that's serving the temple right now there on 4700 South, and they're going to replace it with a median, so you can't turn left there anymore. But they're going to open up down the street. If you turn onto 2700 West, there's a roundabout that they're going to open up access to that. It's Sable Circle is what it's called. And then that will give access to the temple, and they'll build a new roundabout at Sable Circle and Chantel Avenue, which is right in front of the temple.
So here's what the locals think about this. What? The opening of that circle especially is the big thing that people are upset about. The raised median is not a big deal. You're just 4700 South is a big, busy street. So you're just it's gonna force a lot of people with not being able to turn left to just go down until they can turn left and then flip some U-turns and all that. But it is a large building, right, literally you could throw a stone, though please don't, from I-215 to the temple. And a lot of folks really anxious, not only for the temple to open, but to actually see how much traffic is impacted by it. There's a lot of people that are like, this is the end of the world. The traffic will be so bad, we won't ever. And there's a lot of people also who are just saying, well, let's see. This doesn't have to be the end all be all of the solutions for this thing, but let's see how much this really impacts it all. But it is.
Yeah, I'm sure they're not going to start construction right away. So the temple will probably open with the current traffic pattern, and then they'll see what happens. So,
but it's definitely a beauty piece for that part of Taylorsville. And things now sort of being inspired to be built around it or improved around it. What with the investment there, with the church, with the temple, there was some part of it there that was a little, how shall we say, less desirable, and now it's starting to get improved a bit. So I'm excited about that for sure.
nice.
And then we go to all the opposition. Great. That's how we're gonna, see towards the end of this is nothing but opposition. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I guess there's not really enough happening in Cody, Wyoming anymore with the temple. So now the press is writing stories about what's going to happen next, trying to speculate, keep those clicks going about this topic. But basically, there's an author that said that the headline is, the LDS temples may be controversial, but they simply boost property values, which has been kind of a sticking point with some people, because they may say, oh, well, I just don't want the temple. No, I don't care about my property values. Or the temple will keep my property values up if it's not there. So they give the example of Billings, Montana, which is where the people of Cody right now attend. And back in 1999, there was an example of people pretty opposed to it. It was put in a rich neighborhood, pretty similar to this one in Cody. And they thought that, the temple would bring too much traffic, there'd be too much light, and all that, all the same things that we hear every time. And basically the church went ahead and did end up building the temple there. And they interviewed someone that lives there, and they said that, he doesn't mind the temple there. They're good neighbors. They keep their lights, put the lights off early. The traffic's not too bad, because as we know, temples don't have like big meetings starting. People trickle in throughout the day. And
their parties, they keep their parties relatively quiet. They clean up after themselves. That's what I always think of when I think about people being like, well, my neighbors, their dog, the temple's dog barks too loud. Like, it's, we're fairly respectful as far as that goes. If you just don't want a large building, I mean, there's not a lot that we can do about not being a large building. It needs to be a large building.
Yeah, and then the article notes that a lot of the houses there, they were worth around 800,000, and now they're up to 3 million in cost, which, all of Montana has seen their house prices go up a lot. So maybe more correlation than causation. But they said the other parts of the city with similar houses didn't go up as much. So yeah,
now people are like, great, my property taxes are more too. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, I guess that's true as well. So you can never be happy.
No, ever. People will never. And it's not that I'm necessarily defending it or not defending it. It's just that people will find always something. And sometimes I find myself agreeing a little bit more with it, and sometimes not. Like, for instance, as we move towards the Heber Valley Temple, I really find myself looking at the Heber Valley Temple and going, okay, guys, it's a dark sky part of the country, and that seems a little bit more precious to me than just like a property value or something else.
Okay.
That's me personally, obviously.
No, I guess I don't really know the history of the dark sky, if people are more concerned with it after the fact, or if it's always been a thing, because as we know, the county didn't really have a strict policy about it until people started being worried about the temple. And so it just makes me wonder if people are more retrospectively looking back on this. I don't know. But there's a group called Save Our Wasatch Back Skies, they've been putting, they even put out like videos. I saw this video the other day where they have this daughter talking like, this is how to talk to your parents about how bad the temple is, basically, and try and convince them that, you know, we've been trampled on. We need to be treated better by the church.
Hmm.
And in addition, they also rebutted the church sent out a letter, and then they sent out a rebuttal to the letter. So you can read that in the show notes if you would like.
Well, so the interesting thing, if people don't know what dark sky like area is, it's different than, like, say that the church was going into a highly forested area, right? And everyone's like, wow, the forest and all the oxygen it produces and all these things, right? Well, then the church could say something like, well, listen, we're going to plant 100,000 trees because we're making this temple in this particular area. Well, that, though not exactly the same, can sort of balance out what they're doing. But when you have a dark sky area, it's there is a thing called light pollution. I think some people know about this, but maybe not everyone. If you're ever up hiking, particularly like around maybe up on the Y, and you're looking down on Provo and you look up sort of towards the sky, you can see that the light goes up into the sky. Well, Heber Valley is one of, I don't know, there's a few places, probably, I would bet probably less than 100, that are dark sky communities where the light pollution is kept at a level. And you're looking it up, and I love that you are, but like you're able to observe things with a naked eye in a dark sky community. There are certain like birds and some of those things that are able to exist in dark sky communities. Like, it's a whole ecosystem of a dark sky. And obviously, once upon a time, everywhere was a dark sky because we didn't have lights. And as cities and metropolitan areas have grown and light pollution has increased, there are fewer and fewer. And so I think the thing that the people of the Heber Valley are clinging to, saying, hey, listen, once this is gone, it's gone. It's not that we can, bring this back, especially like once you set the precedent for one building to be able to do it, if they don't allow everyone to do it after that, then it's like discriminatory. So that's the thing that I think they're fearing. It's not that it's going to kill them or something like that. So I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good perspective. Thanks.
Yeah.
The church did write a letter basically kind of saying, this is a drop in the bucket. Like, the county is growing anyways. And so, the fact that the dark skies are under threat is just a fact of development. And no matter what you build, eventually it's going to be like that. It's just a fact of a community growing from, small to medium.
Yeah, one of the things that I don't like, and I don't know how much truth it is, but if it is true, I don't care for it at all. There are people talking about how there are people within the city or people that may speak out about it that don't feel like they can speak out about it because whether outwardly or vaguely mentioned that their temple recommend or that their church status would be in question if they opposed the temple. Again, it's one of those things where it's like, well, my brother said that the bishop said that the first counselor might have said. I don't know that those things are true, but if in fact they're using some sort of worthiness as intimidation to agree with this and push it through, I don't care for that at all. I don't think that's, I can't imagine a scenario where hopefully where church leadership would be happy with something like that, or certainly where Jesus would be like, yeah, guys, this is the way I would like you to get this done. That does not seem the way.
Yeah, that would be a problem if anything does occur with that.
But there are definitely rumors of that for sure.
Something also interesting about this temple is that the county is requiring them to put a red light on top of the temple because it is in the path of the airport. And so I kind of think this is like over regulation. Like, it's so far away from the airport. Like, any airplanes that are going that low are like not doing what they should do. And if they can't see a big white building I don't know if a little red dot on the top of the temple is gonna do much. I think for many years the London, England temple was pretty similar. They had a red light above the temple, and then eventually the airports, the government was just like, yeah, you can take it off. It doesn't do anything. So it's interesting that they're requiring this. I think it's kind of silly, but
it could be maybe a similar thing where they think that they're out of control, so they have to go all the controls, and then as things kind of roll out, maybe it'll be less and less. I'm interested to see this. The Nauvoo, Illinois temple, the last thing we'll talk about today, is on your list. What's going on there?
Yeah, the church has been trying to build a new visitor center for the past year. They said this is not to replace the current Nauvoo Visitor Center, but this will be specifically a temple visitor center. And it will be located kind of to the, so if you've ever been to Nauvoo, it's on a bluff that overlooks the Mississippi, and there's this big green field in the front. And so I think the visitor center won't be right in front where that Hiram Smith statue on horses is, but it'll be located to the, I guess it would be the north. So it'll be located in front of the Catholic Church, which is right there, next to the temple. And there's some people that have been concerned as the church has gone to the city for approval. But they're working with them. They're working to improve the road, some of the driveways. They've even are going to permit the Catholic Church and the elementary school to share the 120 parking stalls that are there on the site. So it looks like things are going forward. There's not like super negative. It's a collaborative process. They said that the visitor center will be 24,000 square feet. They'll have a theater that seats 240 people. They'll have interactive experiences. They'll have stained glass that depicts Jesus Christ. They'll have big windows that face the temple, and they'll have exhibits that tell the story of Nauvoo with artifacts from the original temple.
Now, will part of the visitor center be the ability to go down and see the tomb of Joseph Smith, like we talked about back in episode 512? People can find a link to that in the show notes. Are we going to be able to go down into the catacombs? And
it is like right across the street, I believe, is where that location was. So that'd be cool.
I hope so. How cool. Well, all things temples of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He is the professional, the capital THEE, Corey K. Ward, the Pharaoh himself. As always, thank you for putting all this together and also putting up with the obnoxious messages that I sent you over and over and over again as I was happening upon temple news. Until there's some more news, we wish you good day, sir. Thank you.
Hey, thank you.
Howdy.
Oh, here we go. And here in the second block of the Cultural Hall, we welcome in Mr. Mayor. I don't know where you've been. I don't know where you've been hiding. I don't know where.
I know it's been a minute since I've been on
the. What's your deal, pal? It's not.
I've been traveling.
Okay.
I've been all over the place. It seems every week I'm somewhere.
Yeah. Have you been to every port across the world?
No, I've been to. I was in Florida yesterday.
Okay.
I was in Arizona.
Okay.
I was in St. Louis. I was in man, why am I missing that? I've been at so many more places than I can think of. There's just too many. But work's got me moving around the country right now.
Do you have a pretty senorita waiting for you down in Old Mexico?
Well, I have one in Old Austin town.
Old song I'm quoting.
Yep.
Well, so let me ask you this: when you're on the road, you're traveling. Do you try and sightsee? Do you try and church see, or are you like, listen, I'm at the place where I'm doing business, and then I'm at the hotel and I'm eating a handful, literally, of food and then going to bed? Mostly
the latter. Once in a while. So I went to Independence once while I was traveling around
Missouri, I presume.
Yeah, and saw the not Independence. Yeah, I went to Independence, but I also saw the Liberty Jail, which is not too far away. Went to a few of those places. I saw, went to the visitor center there. Kind of Independence is cool because you go to the Community of Christ Temple. There's a church visitor center across the street, and like 5 other churches that are related to.
Yeah, the Temple Lot is one of the other corners there.
Yep.
Well, the Temple Lot Church.
Yep. Yeah, so it's kind of fun. You walk around and you can see what they're all doing. So
okay, and things are well.
Things are going really well. Yep.
Good.
Yep. Things are going very.
I think unless you have something super pressing, maybe we get right into news. What do you think about that?
I'm good. I'm good to go.
I want you to know that we are going to do news, and I would like Peter, that is Peter the Breinhold, to hit it. And away we go. I want you to know several people tried to take this story from you, but I said, nope, the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square, their Christmas concert, that is Mr. Mayor's story.
I've got 2 of them related to that. So I want to start with the fall concert. So if you didn't know, the fall concert is coming up. It's on October 27th. And you can go to the fall concert for free. Now, they also recently announced the Temple Square choir, Temple Square concert for Christmas for the Tabernacle Choir.
Mhm.
And they announced 2 guests. A Broadway star who is known for performing Aladdin. He's been in Phantom of the Opera and others. His name's, I'm going to get it wrong, Michael Malakal. Oh man, that was terrible.
No, that was perfect.
Nailed it. And if you're a Downton Abbey fan, Leslie Nicole, she's from. So they're going to be coming to that. But here is I'll call it a Mormon life hack.
Okay.
If you go to October 27th fall concert and go watch their wonderful fall concert with, by the way, some personal work by Mac Wilberg himself, you can exchange your ticket there. You have to be physically there with your ticket. You can exchange it for a general admission ticket to the Christmas concert. How many people have sat online trying to get through that lottery just to get tickets when you can go to October 27th, go to the concert, the fall concert, and you can exchange that ticket. And it's I'm not lying. It's on the page.
I read it. Is it not very well attended? Is that why they do that? Or
I don't know.
They're trying to push attendance towards that, or what?
That's what I'm assuming. They're saying, hey, if we want our audiences to grow for all of our concerts. Let's promote other concerts and see if we can get other people coming and watching them. And this is a great opportunity to go have a great time in the fall colors in Salt Lake, in downtown Temple Square, do all that fun stuff, go eat wherever you like to eat, do all the fun things, and get your tickets set for the Christmas concert coming up.
I love that.
I mean, I've sat, because I'm out of state, I've had family members have asked me to, maybe I can get in through the lottery because I'm out of state, and then I'll give them the ticket. Never been able to. So I'd love to see this. I don't know if they're going to do something similar. Man, it would be really cool if they do the bells on Temple Square too. That way you can promote them too. But I don't know if that's going on. This is the only one I know.
Well, you've been traveling. I think that you should negotiate a travel for you to come to Utah right around the 27th of October. The thing that I would love, and I know that this is not ever going to happen, but I think that it would be a curious show to see. I would like to see sort of a Halloween show from the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square, right?
Do it.
Richard Elliott, dun 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 dun.
Yeah, do Phantom of the Opera, do this. I mean, there's so many classical pieces that would drive to that. You could do that. I mean, they have like some of the Gregorian chants that get all going.
Yes,
it would be a lot of fun.
It could.
I think it would go over like the gangbusters, truthfully.
Yep. But because Halloween is a pagan holiday and most of those things are the worship of, bad spirits, and maybe that's the thing. Is that the visible thing that we can't go into? Because I don't know.
I don't know. They could call it they don't have to say Halloween. Maybe Halloween name is the problem. They could just say October Tabernacle Choir.
It's an all spirits festival.
Yeah, all spirits. Yeah, there you go. So
That's
anyway,
out there.
Mormon life hack or LDS, member of the LDS church or member of the
I'll
Church of
take
Jesus
Mormon
Christ
life
of
hack
Latter.
because what you're going to try and couch that as is far too long, and I don't have time for it.
So yeah, fun stuff.
I thought this was interesting. Found this article yesterday about genealogy and about what an industry genealogy is. So currently, genealogy companies are assumed to make about $5 billion with a B, $5 billion annually in services, products, subscriptions, etc., that are affiliated with genealogy. Which, okay, it's a lot. You think about you think about the travel associated. You think about some of these like tests. So it kind of lumps in all the things, right? They say just 10 years from now, it will have tripled. 16 billion is what they estimate by the end of 2033.
Wow.
And so when you think about like the leaders in genealogy research, genealogy products, etc., you think of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and the majority of the products that we offer, that is, as the church offer, are free resources. But there are a few that the church offers that are free for members of the church, but are based on a subscription basis to people that are not members of the church. And I don't think that we think about how much money the church is able to pull in from this particular arm. I mean, I'm sure.
Imagine it's a ton.
Yeah, but I'm sure we're not making the entire 5 billion. I'm sure there are other entities that are making that, but to note that we would be even a small portion of the current 5 billion and then an exponential small portion of the estimated 16 billion, that's significant and a thing I just never ever thought about.
There was a time, and it's probably changed. There was a time when the internet was young that they said that there was the two biggest industries on the internet. This was probably like early 2000s or something like that. Sure. I don't know what it is now. And the two biggest industries were genealogy and the porn industry.
Yeah. I mean, now you think about it, and you obviously Amazon and the purchase to order.
I don't think it would be the same because back then, we didn't have the e-commerce that we have now. Now I don't know what would be the biggest industry. I think it between probably Apple and Amazon, and they're up there as some of the biggest stuff. I mean, I've got to order some Amazon later today.
Well, throw one in for me. I don't care what it is. Just have it shipped.
Just anything.
Yeah,
just
anything.
Another copy of my book.
Perfect. Whatever you would like to order me on Amazon, send it over my way. I thought that was interesting. This is a hard shift to another thing that I saw on the internet, so that will be the loose segue that I'll use. Elder Holland posting on social media, I think yesterday, maybe the day before as we record this, talking about the passing of his wife, and I actually wanted to read it. I thought this was very sweet. Did you see this?
I haven't had a chance to read it. I've seen it all over, and I've been meaning to click on it, but I haven't had a chance.
So says, most of you will know that my wife, Pat, passed away last July with complications from COVID and other respiratory problems. I am brokenhearted and lonely, but that is the price we pay for love in the world. I look forward to rejoining her. But the wonder of life goes on, including for these two great grandchildren. That's the picture that he posts in association with this. It's these adorable, cute little, babies, less than a year babies, and they're kind of sitting on Grandpa Holland's lap. Who, with our other family members, were the delight of Pat's life. Her passing and their arrival are a reminder that both birth and death are a part of the Savior's plan of happiness. I dearly, deeply miss Pat, but I'm grateful for a new generation in our family. This is why we speak of family so much in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, for, as President Russell M. Nelson has said, salvation is an individual experience, but exaltation is a family experience. Goes on, I bear witness of the beauty of this plan and that all is well if we live for its promises. I'm trying to live worthily of those promises and the trust that those living on Pat's side of the veil have in those of us who have access to the temple where many of those promises are revealed. I just thought that was really sweet, super significant. Elder Holland, maybe one of my favorite, as I know he is for a lot of people, but just a very sweet from the heart. I feel like sometimes posts that you get shared from, general authorities social media pages are not, I don't really feel like they're from the general authority. Maybe they are, and that's just me being cynical, but definitely with that one, it's like, yeah, you can sort of feel the Elder Holland emanating from the words that he's written about, his sweet wife.
I imagine someone's posting them. They're probably their words, but I mean, there's a lot of words from the apostles that they could pull out of how many different talks.
Well, but
And
like sometimes when you read something, and this isn't necessarily applicable to apostles only, but like you follow an influencer or a product, and you're like, yeah, I know the tone of how that normally sounds from that individual, and then you read one particular post, and you're like, I don't
that's
know
an
that's
assistant.
the exact same thing. That feels
I
different.
follow Elvis. I know this is and
How's he doing?
I never can tell whether it's him or someone else.
You make the joke, but I know there's lots of people who still believe.
Well, he would be pretty old now, but he joined the church. I know that's what happened.
Sure.
He joined the church at the end, and he needed a way. So he's really been disguising himself as the temple president in Memphis or Nashville.
Does he look like the guy? Because that would be the kicker, is if you could.
That would be really awesome.
And that's what that person looks like, because that would be rad.
That's a place I'll be in December. I'm going to be in Memphis. So
well, I hope you're going to Graceland.
Oh, absolutely. I've never been to Memphis yet. So Sun Records in Graceland, I'll make sure to go. Yeah. I already told my colleague, I'm like, sorry, we're not going to anywhere fun for dinner. Yeah. Because I'm going to at least stand out, even if I can't get in, stand outside those two locations.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good for you. Good for you. What other news stories have you, Mr. Mayor?
So I don't know if you covered this because I didn't listen.
That's fine.
Did you cover anything about General Conference Jeopardy?
No. Tell me about General Conference Jeopardy.
General Conference Jeopardy. So I just found this morning, and I thought it was pretty cool. Elder Anderson's family plays, and it's not just something they put up on a little copy paste bingo chart like some people do. Okay. They play a General Conference Jeopardy that you can download, by the way, and I'll provide the link in the show notes. You can download this, and it's basically, I don't know who writes it, but they put it together, and you get points. You can get into two different teams, and it goes through all the different talks and lets you answer questions about it, and then encourage you to share your testimony and your thoughts on things and what you learned about Jeopardy at the end. I learned about Jeopardy, what you learned about General Conference at the end.
So this is a post General Conference sort of recap tool. Yeah. Is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah. So it's a way to kind of remind yourself what's going on. I don't know if they're writing them like during the day and then they post this after, because this isn't that long after General Conference is over and it's already up. So someone spends some time probably after they get all posted up on there writing these trivia questions for their family, and I think it's pretty cool. I didn't click on it because I don't want to give away. I want to play this. I'm going to sit and play this, and I thought maybe we should play it one day. We should get the co-hosts of let's get everyone. We'll separate into teams.
Sure.
We'll play the General Conference.
The girls. That's what that is.
That sounds like a blast of an episode to play General Conference Jeopardy on the Cultural Hall.
We'll bring back DJ Rob, who I didn't know was a DJ, but he also does game shows.
You didn't know he was a DJ?
No, I didn't know that.
His name's
DJ
Rob.
I didn't know that. Yeah. We'll get him to host because he sometimes will host game shows.
Oh, that would be great.
Guest host. And that way I can play, so I don't get to sit by the wayside again.
This is something we should do within the next week.
I'm on it. I'll look into it. I'll try and get everyone scheduled. That's going to be the monster of that whole thing. But
if they do this every time, every General Conference, we should do this.
Well, absolutely. And I think that we should keep score and have side bets. Of course, not for money, but side bets. I had an interesting thing. So the Powerball, at least as far as I know, not won on the 11th. Maybe it was, and I just hadn't received that word, but almost $2 billion now.
I played.
And so did I. And I caught a little bit of shade online about, because I don't live in a state where you can buy Powerball tickets, so I have to have an enabler. Oh, and there was a winner. There was a winner. Shoot. All right. Well,
maybe it's me then.
nope. Did you buy your ticket in California?
No.
Yeah. So we're out. But when it starts to get like into the ridiculous amounts of money, I try and find that enabler to buy me a ticket or two. And so I put it out, and there were a couple of people that responded, and one is in Idaho and one is in Wyoming, and then they kind of went after each other, which I thought was very funny. And ultimately I ended up buying from the person in Wyoming because Idaho, you have to report who you are if you win and be seen on camera, and have it be like, John from Salt Lake City is the winner of this. But if you buy in Wyoming, you can accept your winnings anonymously. So
I don't know what the rule is in Texas.
The rule is you have to bring a gun, a 6-shooter.
Yeah.
That is the rule for Texas.
Well, if I won that amount of money, I'll tell you, I'd be buying some weapons to protect it.
Right?
Because I would make them give it all to me in cash and put it in the center of my house, and then walk around it with weapons.
Yes, all day. That's all you do.
That's all I do.
Your hands about it. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I went down the rabbit hole a little bit because I think anyone who plays that kind of stuff goes, I've got just as good a chance as anyone else. And I'm reading a blog about like what they recommend if you are the winner of one of these big jackpots, and then you read the horror stories of how it's ruined the lives of other people, and the team.
Nearly everyone who wins, it ruins their lives. For
no, not everyone. No,
I said nearly. I said nearly.
I reject the everyone, but nearly everyone. Because think about it. You've got a life that you're leading one way, and then it changes completely. I was thinking about it because, again, I start to put myself in this, and this is what's so dangerous about it, is you go, yeah, of course I could. I was like, yeah, I don't think I'd move. I think I'd probably spend.
I might move back to Utah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, but I probably wouldn't initially. Like, I've thought about this. Like, if I got it, I would probably give myself a year before I did any major changes. I would treat it like a death.
Yeah.
Like, I'd put it in the bank. I'd do some things to make sure it's protected and everything else. And then I would not do anything with it for a year.
Yeah.
Major.
Yeah, I would want to have a plan. I'd probably invest. I really like the house that I'm in. There's some things that are a little quirky about this. That I
like your house. I think it's cool.
Thank you very much.
It's got a beautiful view.
Oh my gosh, gorgeous. There are some things that I would do that like I could justify that, I didn't nearly win $1 billion because of course taxes, right? That people could just be like, oh man, he saved up and was able to afford to do that. Like some of those kind of things that I would probably do. But I think I would probably more like I would find a couple other places that I would want to go. And I would probably just buy a reasonable home there, or reasonable-ish home there.
I'd keep my job. I think because first of all, I need something to do.
Sure.
And I would, I'd probably go on a fun trip.
Yeah.
And definitely pay off my house. But that's stuff that is hidden behind the scenes. And then I'd give it a good year before I made any major life-changing decisions or anything.
Before you get a golden toilet seat or something like that.
Yeah. I really want the golden toilet. I just wake up the ceramic stuff.
No,
I don't know.
Oh my God.
My bum's not.
Well, listen, when you warm up a gold toilet seat with your bum, that's warmth. That's real warmth.
Right. That's real warmth. It goes right to the heart.
When I say Dan Reynolds, do you know who that individual is?
Why do I know Dan Reynolds? Yes, I can't think of it.
Lead singer of Imagine Dragons.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah. Once upon a time, I think he still considers himself Mormon, but doesn't practice. So if you asked him, he'd be like, yeah, of course I am.
Isn't he a former guest of the Cultural Hall?
It has been here before. You can find the link to that in the show notes. It was a short episode, but glad to be able to visit with him. He shared, and I think he shared this before, but there was a part of his story that I thought was sort of interesting. So he back in the news because Love Loud, this festival that's essentially was only in Salt Lake, essentially love for the LGBTQ community here in Salt Lake. He and Tyler Glenn from the Neon Trees, also a previous guest of the Cultural Hall, they got together and said, you know what, this community could really use some outpouring of love from everyone for the LGBTQ community. Let's start this. So then they get these LGBTQ friendly artists and they put on a big show and they call it the Love Loud Festival. They did it for 5 years, and now this year, as I understand it, or maybe it is the early part of next year, Love Loud is going to 2 other cities. It will be
cool.
in Austin, Texas.
No, really?
Yeah, for real.
Okay.
And
I'll have to go.
David Archuleta is going to be a part of it, and Tegan and Sarah and some other folks. And also Washington, D.C. And the hopes for Washington, D.C. is they're going to try and invite some conservative lawmaker folk to come to the festival and see exactly what everything
Mike
is,
Lee.
right? What's that?
Mike Lee.
Yeah, I thought you said likely, and then it dawned on me exactly what you said. So all to say, there was a part of when he's doing this media hit about this, they're asking him, hey, so why does this matter so much to you? Why did you start doing this? You know, where does the history of all this go? And this this I've never heard before and never heard anything about. I've only a teeny bit started to research into it. But he goes on to say, when I was in high school, one of my friends who was Mormon and queer had come out and been rejected. Reynolds, who grew up as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, recalls he ended up going in front of the LDS temple and took his life. And that was a real moment. That was a shifter for me, that this is a really broken system. And what I don't know is anything about that story, about who that individual was. This is not any sort of insinuation that I don't think that Dan Reynolds is being honest.
Dan was from Las Vegas area?
Yeah. So if anyone knows anything about this just horribly tragic story, I would be interested to know more about it. Know more about who that individual was, about that individual's family, and just kind of know, you know, is it a literal he went to the temple and that was where that took place? I know it may be a little bit morbid for some folks, but it is a curiosity to me, only because, like, I feel like a story like that would have been maybe more in the news. Now, granted, this is probably early 2000s, so maybe not, but I think that would be a story that would be more in the news. So I would be curious to learn more about that individual. And
yeah, I like to know the deeper understanding of that story, because I think our tendency in the church is to say, oh, we can solve this problem by just, and then whatever comes out of that is usually awful. Not awful, but like, or it's not thought well. It's usually too simplistic. We just fill in the blank, whether it's hold to the church, hold to the morality, or just love them and do, you know, it's sometimes just too, and it needs to be more nuanced than that. I mean, because every situation is different. Yes, we need to love and show compassion, but there's got to be new ways we can reach out to those who are and not reject them, right? Mm-hmm. And that idea that visitors are welcome should be one of our, I mean, it's on the front of all of our buildings. It should be our mantra. We should put it on our missionaries' badges. We should accept everything about them in the Mr. Rogers sense. We should accept everything about them.
Yeah, hard to do.
Oh, extremely.
Even for the people with the greatest intent, right? Still a difficult thing to do, but I think that we would all do well to try and be a little bit better about that. This is an article I've been hanging on to for a while.
Just for me?
Well, no, not at all. Just because I put all of these stories in a vault, and then because we always talk about like personal things and things that are going on for too long, not again just you, but literally any of the hosts that come in, we don't always get to enough of the news. There is an article, find the link in the show notes if you want to get really deep into this, about John Taylor's pocket watch. Now, do you know sort of the lore about John Taylor's pocket watch?
Well, yeah, the John Taylor's pocket watch magically, miraculously saved him when he was in the Carthage jail, and the bullet hit the watch and kept him from dying, and all that stuff. And I know that's legend. That's the legend anyway.
So there is a multi-year investigation that has just concluded about whether or not the pocket watch of John Taylor actually saved his life. Multiple historians, different looks, different experiments around it. Like, imagine LDS Church Mythbusters, and
why aren't we seeing this on? We should be seeing this between General Conference. There should be a Mythbusters.
Agreed.
Like in those little videos between General Conference. They should be all over this.
Agreed. And what I'm hesitant to tell you what the Discovery found or didn't find.
My assumption is that
I want you to go and search it out, but it said it's indeterminable.
It's indeterminable.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I actually prefer indeterminable because it's indeterminable, because then the legend lives, and then we don't have to go one way or the other. You can believe the legend or you can not believe the legend. Everyone's fine. We can just move on and be happy. I prefer indeterminable.
Yeah. So it really is like, it is a nerd's paradise if you want to get into the research of it. It is so deep.
I do. I will be
looking. They consider this? Yes, they did. But what about yep. And did they and
it sounds more interesting than the picture of Joseph Smith last year, even though that was pretty cool.
Oh, I don't know about that. That is a bold claim. I think that's the prophet Joseph Smith. I think most people that are really, really close to it really think that it is. I think that it is the main membership of the church that looks at what we've been told Joseph Smith looks like, and then looks at that picture and goes, nope, I reject that.
I actually think it's real. Like, the more and more I read about it, the more and more, and again, there is no way to determine it, but it does feel like it's leaning significantly towards that being it. And my vision of Joseph Smith has changed in that. I actually feel closer to him because of that. So
and I like it. I like the idea of, even if it's not him necessarily, I like the idea of being able to associate more closely a picture of the prophet as opposed to a painting.
I think it humanizes him, where I think when I was growing up, to say he was deified would have been too much. But there was this point in my life where I think I felt that he was second to Jesus Christ, which that's a terrible statement, just because of the way I grew up and how things.
Well, it's that old quote.
Yeah,
Joseph Smith, it's done more for the world except for Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's where that comes from.
Yeah, and of course that you got to look at the context of when that was said, and yes, you would say the restoration of the church would be a very, very significant thing, right? But still, you can't. There's a human side of things, but then there's Jesus Christ, which is way different. So it helps to humanize him, helps to understand that he's a fallible human being that had an amazing calling and that was gifted and visionary and if you believe it, like I do, inspired and provided direct revelation from God. All those things being true, it still humanizes him, puts him at our level, that any of us can receive that, our personal revelation, right? In the same kind of idea.
Yeah. Do you have any other news stories that you wish to bring forward?
Yes. So a few weeks ago, I guess months ago, we someone on here talked about the mom's baby shower in Chicago. I know that was well, I think I actually gave it months ago. The mom's baby shower. Moms stands for Maternal Outcomes Matter showers. So basically, they give baby showers for at-risk pregnancies in cities, and the Just Serve organization, which is a church organization, have been supporting this, and so they just did another baby shower in Dallas. So they also promote, while they were in town, the Just Serve organization promoted assisting a food pantry, a literacy program, a homeless shelter. So Just Serve doing a wonderful job throughout the country through these moms' baby showers and other efforts. If you are interested, please go to justserve.org. There is a lot of ways that you can serve your community and be that, that angel that someone needs now through your service. So
I love it. And it's especially good if you were looking for something. Sometimes people will say, I'm looking for like a weekly thing that I can do, and I need it to be 3 hours, and you can do those kind of things. But even better if you're just like, what, my Sunday afternoon, my Tuesday morning, my whatever has become clear, and I'm just looking for, something that I can do a one-off. I don't need a bunch of training. I don't want to, commit myself for the rest of 2024 and all the things. You're just looking for something to do. You can find those opportunities to be able to serve through justserve.org.
Family home evenings, get your in or just anything to get your family away from screens for a minute and interact with real people and serve. That's a great opportunity. Your elders quorum, your relief society, you're looking for a service, justserve.org. I mean, there's a lot of cool things you could do. And we're coming up on Christmas. So Christmas, everyone gets their mind set around that. There's thousands of opportunities to serve. So
this is a couple weeks old, but it's good enough that I have held on to it and wanted to share it. Vince Vaughn, the actor, got to be the game day, college game day on ESPN. They have a celebrity that comes and gets to help pick and talk about the different teams that are playing, right? And he makes a what I thought was pretty clever joke, and that's why I've held on to it. He was the guest pick when BYU played Kansas. So those that are sports fans know how long ago that is. Everyone else is like, okay, so he's there with Kansas, whatever. So he's talking about why he picked BYU to win the game and said the following, and this is all I want to share about this because I think it's super funny. It says, quote, "I think BYU gets it done. A lot of the players on that team have already applied for a reverse mortgage. You're going to have a bunch of 30-year-olds bringing veteran experience. Give me BYU," said Vaughn. So I appreciated the heck out of that. I thought that was super, super funny to be able to hear that, and making sure light of the fact that the average age of a BYU football player is 21.7 years old. And I think the average college football player is like 20 and some early change, right? Like 20.3 or something like that. So it is older, but the nature of the thing. Roots Tech, going back to where we originally started in this with the genealogy, Roots Tech 2024 registration is now open. So if you want to be a part of that, it's February 29th. That's right, because next year is a leap year. It is the 29th through the 2nd at the Salt Palace in downtown Salt Lake.
They should have a whole genealogy section on babies that were born on the 29th of February and that are only something like Pirates of.
They're 7 years old.
They're 7 years, according to birthdays.
The theme of the 2024 event will be, quote, "Remember," quote.
Well, okay.
Yep.
Remember. Well, there you go.
You have until the 17th of November of 2023 to get that ticket for just $99. Otherwise, it goes up in cost. And then
my comment about genealogy and porn. I just wonder if there's ever been a Roots Tech conference and a porn conference that's going on at the same time.
Interesting. I mean, probably same time, certainly probably not the same place. I think most of the those conventions happen
like
down
the Las Vegas
Vegas.
Convention Center. Half of it is one, half of it is that would be quite
that would be quite the merge of different interests coming into one place. Where I thought you were going with that for sure was a genealogy of porn, which I guess might be sort of interesting. I don't know. Could we?
I don't know how you would research that and stay and not get into some element of.
Yeah. Fair point. Yeah. But an interesting, I don't know, maybe an academic look at it. I don't know. We digress, right? Is there anything else that I really want to hit? Well, we've got one another to be able to speak about news. I've got I'll share this. So Corey Richens, this is the woman who she was building a house. In fact, I drove by this house just the other day up in Yuba City. Gorgeous, beautiful, multi-million-dollar house. Her husband said to his family, if I die, look to my wife. That's probably who did it. And she killed him allegedly with fentanyl overdose. And as I understand it, it happened shortly after he found out about like loans that she was taking out to try and complete this house. There was some thought that they were going to be able to afford like a portion of it, but then she kind of got swept up in it. He said, we can't do this. And she said, watch me. And then it shortly thereafter unraveled. The home still not finished up in Heber. Cows live in its yard and it's fenced off, and the completion of the building has been paused, I guess, while the court case is going on. She's now charged with witness tampering. So they found a 6-page document in her jail cell that I believe was addressed to her brother, I want to say. Nope, to her mom. Oh, yeah, to her mom about her brother to testify falsely about a portion of what would come up in court. And it's interesting. So the other part of this story that I did not mention is, so Corey, after her husband passed or was murdered, wrote a book and then did a big media tour about how to talk to your young children about the passing of a parent.
About how you killed them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no, it was just about like,
No, I know.
grieve the loss. But she went on knowing what she had done and, did these things. Eerie for a lot of folks.
Allegedly done.
Yeah, allegedly done. So these documents, they get seized, for lack of a better term, from her jail cell, or jail cell, as it would better be said, not in Utah. And they're like, yeah, no, I know it looks like witness tampering, but it's a new book. It's a new book she's writing. It's
a new book she's writing. How to get out of murder.
She was giving it to her mom. No, I mean, it's no, that's not what it is. It's just a new book, and I just, it's a fascinating story. I'm not sure that there is a podcast about that story yet, but if there,
there needs to be.
Yeah, there needs to be for sure. It's just wild,
especially for all these true crime moms. It makes you wonder, is she a true crime mom? And then it makes me wonder, is all this true crime that my wife is watching going to make her I'm not rich enough for her to kill me. She
has no interest. What good would that do her?
It would do no good for her.
Oh, now what?
Now I have to now I have to do everything alone.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, I guess I'll keep him around. Anyway, so I thought maybe ending on something like that would be the way that I would be satisfied. And now that I've done that, I'm not particularly happy that I ended on that. Anything?
Remember everything about the Mormon hack I gave up? Let's bring that back.
Yeah. Okay. That's not. Let's see. No, I already did that one. I guess we can just sort of end there. No, because that one's not good either. Geez, I've got a lot
of bummer
stories I haven't shared. Well, I hope you're well. That's all. That's all I've got to end this thing out. Trying to think if there's any great news stories, and all I've got is like, here we go.
Awesome.
First Latter-day Saint Tongan branch has been created in Missouri. I thought that was cool.
Oh, wow.
It's in Trenton, Missouri. It's part of the Far West Missouri Stake. Now has its first Tongan branch. The ward and branch share the hour of meetings such as Sunday school, primary, Relief Society, and Elders Quorum, but they have separate sacrament meetings. And the branch has 87 members. There we go.
I'll tell you, if you're in that area and you hear of a activity where there going to be food at a Tongan branch, you go to that activity.
Have you ever been?
No,
Not-
but I'm
not to that branch, but in general,
No.
to like
a Tongan. Yeah, well, on my mission, I was in Australia. There was a lot of Tongans and Samoans, a lot of islanders there, and whenever they threw a party, it was one of the best things you've ever gone to.
Yeah.
Like, they'd cook pigs in the ground, they cook things in the ground, they pull it out of the ground, and it's the best food you've ever eaten. Back then I could eat a lot. I can't now, but I would come away so full, and people would still be giving me food.
Bring it.
So
that sounds great.
They're so welcoming. They're some of the best people in the world, the Islander people. So.
Yeah, I love it. All right. I know you're not ready for this, so let's get to it. We hope that this episode has nourished and strengthened your body.
And that if you feel good enough this week, you feel good enough next week.
Yeah, it's something like that. And when the time comes, you'll be able to travel home in safety. In the meantime, we'll be saving a seat for you
On the back row
of
the
Cultural Hall.
Cultural Hall.